Welcome back, fight fans, to another episode of Ringside. In today's episode, I will be discussing my picks for the top 10 pound-for-pound boxing rankings currently of 2024. Now, before I continue with this list, I am basing my list off of many accounts and many other lists in which people have listed fighters, common fighters. So I've looked at various lists and seen which fighters appear in each list very commonly. And based on the fighters which I've seen most commonly, I am essentially making my list of which I believe are the top fighters. Let's get right into this one. At number 10, I have Jununto Nakatani. And I believe, yes, he is possibly a pound-for-pound best in the boxing scene right now. He has won multiple world championships in multiple weight divisions, being the WBC bantamweight champion currently, the WBO super flyweight champion, the WBO and the WBO flyweight champion. Currently, he boasts a record of 29 wins, 0 losses, and 0 draws, with 22 of those wins coming by way of knockout. His age is 26, and he still might have a bright future ahead of him in the boxing scene. I believe he may do good things, and he may stay a relative pound-for-pound great, but I do not think he will ever really reach the tier of a number 1 or even a top 5 pound-for-pound spot. But he will lay somewhere in the later 10 area, and so right now he is currently the number 10. For number 9, I have Shakur Stevenson. Now, Shakur Stevenson is a boxer who has tremendous talent in the scene. And he's also won multiple world championships at multiple weight divisions. Shakur Stevenson's most notable wins consist of Artem Haritunian, Edwin de los Santos, Oscar Valadez, and Shichiro Yoshino. Shakur Stevenson has a record of 22 wins, 0 losses, and 0 draws. And 10 of those wins come by way of knockout. He is a southpaw and currently is 27 years of age. And Shakur Stevenson is a boxer who has not truly shown the extent of his full potential. Now, we have seen his defensive and boxing capabilities, but we have never really seen him roughed up by an opponent. And I believe he has not really been tested by a true elite opponent, such as the likes of Gervonta Davis. So, Shakur Stevenson most deservingly has the talent of a pound-for-pound great, but currently I cannot put him any higher than 9. This brings us to the next individual on our list, which is Gervonta Davis. Now, Davis also runs into this problem where he has not truly fought a true elite boxer. In that sense, Davis also, similar to Stevenson, definitely has the potential to be a pound-for-pound great and possibly an undisputed champion. But his best wins consist of Isaac Cruz, Ryan Garcia, and Rolando Romero, and notable wins being Leo Santa Cruz and Mario Barrios. There are many other notable wins, but currently these are his most recent notable wins. Gervonta Davis currently has not really been fighting the most elite competition. His most recent win was over Frank Martin, who I believe could be a world champion. Frank Martin definitely has those capabilities. He is a worthy contender to fight Davis, especially in a warm-up comeback. But Gervonta's next fight is against Lamont Roach, which I believe he'll probably destroy Roach, similarly to how he destroyed Hector Luis Garcia or Frank Martin. A 8th to 9th round stoppage, maybe even a 7th or 6th. Thus, I cannot put Gervonta higher than 8. Now, I do believe Gervonta Davis will beat Stevenson because Davis will be able to rough up Stevenson, and overall, Davis, I think, has the power to hurt Stevenson and also the boxing capabilities to match Stevenson. And so I'm going to put Davis higher than Shakur Stevenson. This brings us to our next contender, and this is Jesse Bam Rodriguez. His most recent win has shown us that he is truly a pound-for-pound great. The win he had right before this one against Guevara, he beat Estrada by 7th round knockout, was tested by being dropped, and went through the fight and knocked down Estrada and knocked him out with a liver shot, which was well-timed. Jesse Bam Rodriguez has shown the capabilities, not only with his boxing skill, but the willingness to fight the elite of the elite. And I believe this is why, even at the age of 24, being less experienced than Davis or Stevenson, that he should be put higher than them. Even though we don't really know if Bam will really actually become a pound-for-pound great throughout the history books, currently he definitely has a right to be in the pound-for-pound list, and definitely higher than that of Davis and Shakur Stevenson, who I have actually seen on many pound-for-pound lists, but I believe Bam is definitely higher than Davis and Stevenson. From this point on, I believe the 6 fighters which can be put on the list are pretty straightforward. At number 6, I currently have Dmitry Bivol. Now, Bivol recently lost a majority decision to Artur Beterbiev in a fight in which some argue that Bivol actually won that fight, and that was a close fight for the undisputed championship. Bivol has only been a world champion in one weight class, light heavyweight, but he has definitely shown the capabilities to be a pound-for-pound great, considering the fact that he lost to Beterbiev in an extremely close decision in which it was either a draw or a very close edge to either fighter. Thus, I do put Bivol in a status to which he is definitely a pound-for-pound great. Next, this may be a controversial choice considering Dmitry Bivol beat this man, but I do have Canelo Alvarez. Now, Canelo Alvarez has not fought the greatest competition as of late. However, considering the fact that Canelo was undisputed at super middleweight, and considering his resume currently and his legacy overall, currently I believe Canelo has to be higher than Bivol. Even though Bivol beat Canelo, we also must recognize that Canelo was going back up to 175, which is a weight class which is unnatural for him. And although Canelo convincingly lost that fight, I believe Canelo's resume and his accomplishments as an undisputed champion clearing out a division shows that he can be considered a pound-for-pound great in this era currently. But he, by far, is not the best boxer in the era. I believe that Bivol and Canelo can be interchanged, where Canelo could be number 6 and Bivol number 5, considering the fact that my number 5 spot, which we'll get to, is in the range to which Bivol and Canelo are in skill. That brings us to my number 5 spot, which is Artur Beterbiev, who recently beat Dmitry Bivol. Beterbiev is now the undisputed championship, and the road to which he became undisputed, I believe, is greater than Canelo's, especially because he fought and beat Bivol, and because I think Beterbiev is slightly better than Canelo. Beterbiev is 39 years old, and he's become undisputed. I think that's a feat that we must look at with some awe. And Beterbiev being in the number 4 spot, I think makes the most likely sense, as being an undisputed champion at the age of 39 is extremely impressive. Now, he is no 2-time undisputed champion, and that is why we come to the big 3. This part of the list may be the most controversial because each of these fighters have an entitlement to be the pound-for-pound great of this era. But in my opinion, I believe number 3, we can put Terence Crawford. Crawford is an extremely well-rounded fighter, but considering his fight with Madrimov, in which some individuals thought he lost, it's difficult to associate if he is pound-for-pound great of this era. Crawford did destroy Errol Spence, which was completely unexpected, and Errol Spence was considered to be a pound-for-pound great at the time of that matchup. But it showed that Errol Spence, I don't really believe he was. And I believe Crawford definitely does have a right, or I could understand an argument saying that Crawford is either number one or number two, but considering Crawford currently and his inactivity as compared to Usyk and Inoue, I believe Crawford has to be number three. That brings me to my number two pick, which is Naoya Inoue. Recently, Inoue has not fought the best competition as well. I mean, he fought TJ Doheny. Doheny was not exactly, didn't have the right to fight for an undisputed championship, but because of the circumstance Inoue was in at the time, I understand why Inoue had to fight Doheny, and I have no blame to Inoue for that. But Inoue's accomplishments, I don't think, rival certain attributes which Usyk has at the number one position. Inoue is a two-time undisputed champion. He beat Stephen Fulton very easily, and Inoue is technically gifted. But certain attributes of Inoue, I think, bar him from being the pound-for-pound great of this era, and this is what I'll get into, with my number one spot being Usyk. Now, Usyk, I think, has fought the best competition as of late as compared to his two contemporaries, Crawford and Inoue, and also beaten that competition convincingly. I believe Usyk has both fought at the elite level and beat this elite level convincingly. And although Tyson Fury may not be as good of a pound-for-pound fighter as that of Errol Spence, Usyk did display dominance over Fury and Joshua, and considering that the jump from cruiserweight to heavyweight is a big jump, and Usyk is fighting individuals who are 30 pounds heavier than him, and that he can almost knock out Tyson Fury with a cruiserweight extent of power, I believe shows Usyk's greatness. Also, I think there are certain traits of Usyk which are overlooked, such as his chin. Usyk's chin is extremely good. He took a variety of uppercuts from Tyson Fury, which truly had power behind them. Now, Tyson Fury is no one-punch knockout artist, but Usyk was able to take some of the best power punches of Tyson Fury, and I believe Usyk does have other attributes which are overlooked. So I believe Usyk is the pound-for-pound great just by a slight margin over Crawford and Inoue. And so this rounds out my top 10 pound-for-pound boxers currently in the landscape right now. Let me know what you think about in the comments, but I'll just say that my list is based on a lot of the fighters which show up in other pound-for-pound lists. Many of these pound-for-pound lists feature Shakur Stevenson and Gervonta Davis, and I believe the most difficult part of the ranking is really to figure out who fits in from the 7 to 10 spots. I believe the 1 to 6 spots are pretty easy to decipher, and I believe there are 6 fighters that easily fill out the top 6. But from the 7th to the 10th is where looking at other lists and comparing those fighters becomes significantly important. This is Zachary Cloutier at Ringside.